Hello, Adolfo. I hope all of you are fine. I hope all is well with you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us from. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being with us. We also welcome your suggestions as well. I'm really grateful for the wonderful job you are doing. Thank you very much. We enjoy your company. We are discussing the death penalty in Islam. Death penalty in Islam. We've spoken a lot in the previous video where we mentioned things that attract death penalty. Nyama etumi twe owu penalty eba ewa Islamic religion mu, and I hope you saw it and I hope you've enjoyed it. Yes. So we gave three terms. We explained three terms. Here we want to join with the last one, that is the fourth one. We are discussing this briefly because when we enter into the Islamic religion, we're gonna come back and talk about it into details and how Muslims really practice that act of killing people who they think has left the Islamic religion. We have practical facts. They are there. We will bring you all those facts. But that is going to be when we enter into Islam and discuss Islam and also expose the laws and the legal aspect of Islam. We're going to do that and go into details about it. We are doing this because the next episode of the Islamic expose that we're gonna do is actually into the religion itself, which got to do with the Quran, which got to do with how Quran was revealed, which got to do with how Prophet was and how he started receiving the revelation and all that. Now, these things are seen to most Muslims, if not all of them, as it is an act of apostate. It is an act of ridda. Yes, apostate or blasphemy, or the fourth one, which is known as nifaq. Yeah, nifaq, hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, being a Muslim but yet trying to hide other agendas. That is what hypocrisy means. Simple means nifaq means. And in fact, in Islam, nifaq is seen to be like more, or munafiqun, the hypocrite, are seen to be more dangerous than any other person. That is it. But sometimes these terms makes you confused when you check in Islamic books, when you go through Islamic books and read this law, the law of apostasy, and whatever qualified it, or when one is qualified to be executed or not, and all those discussions and all the arguments between the scholars. Sometimes it's interesting, it interests you that you see the confusion. Sometimes they think the zindiq, the clandestine apostate, is more dangerous than munafiq, but sometimes munafiq is more dangerous. But it seems like Islamically, from the real Islamic point of view, the hypocrites are more dangerous than clandestine apostates. Yes, the Zanadika. So we are back again. I was making a point in the last part of the last video, trying to talk about some issues. I've made mention of one point, and now I want to mention the last point that I wanted to make in the last video. The second and the last point I wanted to talk about in the last video, or the previous video, was that now, after the Islamic scholars not telling you when you are coming to accept Islamic religion, when you are coming to convert, or when you are coming to revert to Islamic religion, the way they call it, the way they term it, when you go there to do that, the fact that they do not tell you that when you accept Islam, you cannot drop it. When you accept Islam, you cannot reject it. Now, the fact that they don't tell you that, and they do not tell you that when you reject it, you're gonna be killed. When you reject it, you're gonna be executed or when you reject it, there's a death penalty awaits you. The fact that they don't tell you means it is a deception. You are being deceived. You are being scammed. They should have told you, but they don't say it. Why are they not saying it? Why are they not telling people? Why is it that our parents, our malams, our sheikhs, our ustazis don't tell us that when you are a Muslim, when you are born a Muslim and you left Islam, there is a death penalty awaits you? Why are they not telling us that when you left Islam, you're going to be executed? Nobody is saying this. Why? They are hiding it. It is not something palatable to the ear. It is not something that sounds good to the ear. That is why they don't say it. But yet, when you walk out of it, they want to execute you. They want to put you to death because you've left Islam, because that is the law. This is deception. This is deceit. This is a lie. This is a scam. Now, before we go into the Quran, as I promised you in the previous video, that now we go to the Quran and check some of the verses in the Quran. It might interest you to know that Islamic law has a structure, and this structure is made up of some elements. It is made up of some elements. Now, the major element that made up the Islamic legal structure is four. It is four elements, or it is four components that constitute Islamic legal structure. The first two among the four, some scholars, most Islamic scholars, would like to call them the primary source of Islamic legal structure. Yes, the first two. Some scholars would like to call the first two as the primary source of Islamic legal structure. Sana nkramofo nimdie bi nimdiefo ni bi pepese ombefre eno. Now, which are these two? What are these two? They are, first, most term that is used, or the most used terms for these two is Al-Kitab and Sunnah, or Al-Kitab was Sunnah. The book and the Sunnah. The book and the Sunnah. Is Al-Kitab is the book. As-Sunnah is the second primary source of Islamic legal structure. Here, we would like to do a brief introduction to these two primary sources of Islamic legal structure. The Kitab, which means the book, which comes first, or which is the front line of the Islamic elements that constitute the legal structure of the religion, is the Quran. Quran comes first. The front liner is the Quran. Now, in the Quran, all the Islamic laws, rules and regulations, legal aspect, jurisprudence, all these things are being said to mentioned in the Quran. Well, it's just that some of them are not mentioned directly. Some of them are just alluded to. Some of them can be taken out, can be deduced, can be interpreted to suit a particular situation and a particular moment. This is the term. So the Quran is the first one, which mostly in Islamic books, in Islamic theology, you see it being called Al-Kitab, the book. Now, this is one serious point about Islamic. This is one serious point about Islamic first primary source of Islamic religion, which is the Quran, Al-Kitab. That is, there is no consensus on the interpretation of the Quran. There is no consensus on commentary of the Quran. There is no consensus on the exegesis of the Quran, which is the tafsir. There is no consensus. Chromosome prime source edikan enu na omudu bo oman or legal structure no edikan ye Quran. Now, Quran no so na sichire no there is no consensus. Nkramofo awa wiase nyina anji antum se ni meaning ne baako. There is none. There is nothing like that. I take that again. There is no consensus on consensus of Islamic commentators or Islamic exegetes concerning Quran. There is not. Don't be surprised about this. There is something more to be surprised of. You know what? The Quranic recitation itself, Qira'ah, the recitation itself, there is no consensus on Quranic recitation. No. The method of recitation, the formula of Quranic recitation, there is no consensus. As for this aspect, we got a lot for you when we enter into the Islamic studies, when we start to talk about the revelation and we talk about the Quran and how the whole thing happened. There is no consensus. Prophet Muhammad, who happens to be the ambassador or the mouthpiece of Allah, never interpreted the Quran. It's only few verses, and those ones he did not interpret them willingly. He was asked, it was questions that were put into him concerning those verses, and he interpreted them. Now, Islamically, they try to tell us the reason why we were in school, where we were studying Islamic studies, when we were learning Arabic, we were in school, the tertiary level. They told us one of the reasons why Prophet Muhammad didn't interpret the Quran is that they said it is Arabic language and all the companions understand Arabic, so he doesn't need to interpret it. Logically, this law means that Quran and whatever Quran contains belongs to Arabs. Prophet Muhammad himself, his act of not interpreting the Quran, his act of not giving the exegesis of the Quran, the act of Prophet Muhammad not commentating on Quran logically indicate that himself, he knows that the book is meant for the Arabs. So the Arabs understand what is in the book. So he doesn't need to interpret it for them. This is the reality. This is what it is. If Prophet himself has the idea, or Allah has told Prophet that this Quran does not belong to only Arabs, it belongs to the Arabs and those that are not Arabs as well, he would have tried to break down the meanings of the Quran for the Arabs and then leave it there so that those that are not Arabs that will join the religion will understand the Quran easily. My brother, don't come and tell me, if you feel you want to react to this video, don't come and tell me that he didn't do that. He didn't do that he didn't do that because he knows that one day Quran will be translated. No, you can't say this to me. Do you know why? Some of the Quranic verses are proverbs. Some of them are idiomatic expressions. Some of them are parables. Now, these three things I mentioned, idiomatic expressions, parables, and Proverbs, you can only understand these three in a particular language when you have a higher skill of the language, when you are well acquainted with the language. That is where you can understand idiomatic expressions of a language, a particular language. That is where you can understand idiomatic parables of a particular language. That is how you can understand the proverbs of a particular language. If he knows that one day, if Prophet Muhammad were to have an idea that one day people who come into Islam who are not Arabs and Quran would be so important to them, he would have at least, if not for anything, interpreted and explained and comment on the proverbs and the proverbs and the idiomatic expressions and the parables of the Quran. The fact that he did not do that is a clear-cut act that is showing that he knows very well that the book belongs to Arabs. This is the reality. If you don't get this, I don't know what is in your mind. I don't know what kind of brain you carry, but this is clear. If this makes sense, let me see it in the comment section. So, the first primary source of Quran, of Islamic legislature system or legislature structure is the Quran. What is the Quran according to Islamic religion? According to Islamic religion, Al-Quran is the word of Allah or the words of Allah from A to Z of the Quran, from Fatiha, Baqarah, Ali Imran, Ma'idah, Nisa, all the way to the Rabbin Nas. All of it is the word of Allah. It is the words of Allah revealed to the Prophet Muhammad through Archangel Gabriel. Wow. For this case, for that matter, tamper with the Quran and you are tampering with Allah. Tamper with the Quran and you're gonna incur the anger of Allah. Tampering with the Quran means incurring the anger of Allah. This is a brief explanation about the first primary source of Islamic legislature or legal structure, Al-Quran. Mostly, you see them terming it in their books, in Islamic theology books, that as Al-Kitab. The second primary source of Islamic law is what they call Sunnah or As-Sunnah. Well, linguistically, Sunnah means path, a way, a coin, linguistically. Sunnah is a coin, a way, a path. That is what Sunnah means. Technically, Sunnah to Rasulullah, the path of the Apostle of Allah, the path of Prophet Muhammad. That is what Sunnah means. Now here, I would like to go details a little bit. Now there is this issue of Sunnah and there is this issue of Hadith. Sunnah, Hadith and all that. Are they the same thing? Is Sunnah the same thing? Or Sunnah is different? Is Sunnah and Hadith the same thing? Or there's a difference between the two? Briefly, they are used interchangeably. Yes, they are used interchangeably. Sometimes hadith might be used and it means sunnah. Sometimes sunnah will be used and it means hadith. So this is how they are used. Now, but there's a difference between them. The sunnah comes in the act of Prophet Muhammad and attributes of Prophet Muhammad. So this is the difference between the Sunnah and Hadith. Two terms differentiate Sunnah from Hadith. Two terms gives the distinction between Sunnah and Hadith. That is Takrir and Sifa. Takrir and Sifa, or maybe three. A'amal. So takrir, sifa, and amal. That is what distinct sunnah. So that's what distinct sunnah from hadith. Three things: amal, deed, takrir, and sifa. What is amal? Amal is deed. Amal is act, work, aiki, ejumaya, nejumaya, nyama, niniyo, nyama awaye. Is so nyama Prophet Muhammad aye is called amal, nejuma. So it is sunnah. So you emulate what he did. And takrir. Takrir is confirmation or affirmation. Meaning the companions or the disciples did something in front of him and he did not condemn it. But he didn't say yes, he didn't say no. So that is takrir. Concern or confirmation or affirmation. They did it and he didn't say it's forbidden. He didn't say anything. He saw them doing it. He didn't say anything. So that is what they call takrir. And that man yani akarrahum alayhi or akarrahu alayhi. He didn't scorn it. He didn't front with. He agreed to it, but he didn't say anything. That one is also considered as sunnah. And then sifa. Sifa is appearance, how he dresses, what he was, how he walk, how he used chewing stick. That is why some years back you see some Muslims in the market with their jalbabs, the long gown, with a long chewing stick. There was a time in this country where some scholars condemned toothpick. No, sorry, toothbrush. They condemned it. You know why? They said it is bid'ah. Bid'ah in Islamic terminology is another hell altogether. We'll discuss that one day. It is innovation. It is innovation. They said Prophet never used toothbrush, so nobody should use toothbrush. It went through, the argument went through, went to extend that a lot of things ensued it. A lot of things followed up. Yes, it got to a point where already there's an argument of not using chewing stick in the fasting, and the hadith is saying that the odor of the mouth of the one who is fasting is so adorable and beautiful to Allah more than a nice fragrance perfume. Mpampan a ebon kankan efi ni awachi no komenu no eye Allah de Allah na ni je ho esin sprayer anu ye hwam. So because of that, in Islam, to some scholars, when you fast, you don't need to have chewing stick. The argument is there. And this argument started from this toothbrush being bid'ah, innovation. Prophet did not use toothbrush, so don't use it. You see how religion is awkward. You see, he didn't use it. So this is Sifa, how he chewed his stick, how he slept. You need to sleep like that as a Muslim. You emulate him, you copy him. You need to sleep like that. So these are the things that distinct Sunnah from Hadith. Meanwhile, Hadith is only about the sayings, aqwal, the sayings, things that he said, the judgment that he gave, forbidding things that he forbidden, and some people took it into account and recorded it into books. It has a whole lot of issues. We will discuss that one. Now, because of the troubles of the hadith, because of the troubles that are found in the hadith, because of some of the senseless things that are reported, because of some crazy stuff in the hadith, some Muslims sat down to see how worried, how challenging, how tough it is, and they decided not to talk about hadith at all, and they condemned hadith to dustbin, and they said they only use Quran. And these people are the people who are not serious at all. These are the Muslims who are not serious at all. You know, they claim that don't call them Quraniyun. They never call themselves Quraniyun. Well, it doesn't matter. We don't care whatever you call yourself. That's your problem. But the problem is, when you take hadith and other stuffs out of Islam, 70% of Islam is gone. 70% of Islam is gone. The 30% is left in the Quran. That one can also be questionable because the issues pertaining the Quran that is claimed to be the word of God, trust me, when we get there, you will be surprised. You will be surprised. So this is the first, the prime source of the prime source of Islamic legislature. The first one is Al-Quran. Islamic legal structure. The first one is the Quran. The second one is the Sunnah or the Hadith. That is the second one. And then followed by Al-Qiyas Al-Ijma. This is something else. We're going to talk about it later. Now, the topic at hand, death penalty for hypocrites, death penalty for the clandestine apostates, Zanadika, death penalty for Al-Murtad, the apostates. All this death penalty in the Quran has never been stated categorically in the Quran. That is why anytime you speak to a Muslim who is debunking and rejecting the death penalty of Quran, the death penalty in Islam, he is just the one that is following only Quran. He does not follow Hadith. This death penalty is not recognized, is not captured in the Quran categorically. In other words, let's use some Islamic terms, usul al-fiqh, the Islamic jurisprudence terms, which is qat'iyyu dilala. There is no a base which is known as qat'iyyu dilala, emphatical basics of death penalty in the Quran, but there is verses which seems to be like that is what they are alluding to. So those verses are what all the Islamic clerics, Islamic elite, the Quranic commentators, the jurists, the fuqaha put together to bold and establish a point that there is death penalty in the Quran. And then Hadith came to mention it clearly. So in the Quran, you cannot find a clear-cut verse in the Quran buttressing and supporting, emphatically supporting the death penalty. It is not in the Quran. Onya ewa Quran mo. Verse bia ni ho a eka se obi jai esom no ana obi a hypocrite ana obi a clandestine apostate yankunu ebi ni ho. But verses bi wo ho a ase eya ye similar. Eya it alluding eka bibi sa ese. Some verses na Islamic jurists, Islamic legalists, and establish a Quran is supporting the death penalty. And a Hadith, the second primary source, let me take you to 2 out of those verses because we will discuss it again. The first verse in the Quran that is talking about, that is alluding to killing the apostates or killing and also permitting Muslims to kill the non-Muslims if the need arises is in Quran chapter number 2. Quran chapter number 2 verse 192 stated it clearly. But there's a problem. Now, because what is in Quran chapter number 2 verse 192 is somehow stating the killing and fighting those that are not Muslims, which can be added, which the apostate, the hypocrite, and the people and the clandestine apostate are included, is somehow terrible. It's terrifying. It's scary. So those that don't love it, those that don't support it, especially those that go with only the Quran, will tell you that no. Don't quote only Quran chapter 2 verse 192. No, if you do that, you are not being fair to the Quran. You should go back to start from, let's say, Quran chapter 2 verse 190, 192, 100, 190, 191, all the way to 192. Now let's talk about 192. Listen to the verse. Quran chapter number 2, the chapter of the cow, verse 192. This is what the verse is saying. وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ, fight them, and fight them, kill them. It is a command. Munkuntiyamu, munkuwamu, hatta la takuna fitnatun, so that there shouldn't be disorganization, there shouldn't be problem, so that there shouldn't be discrepancies, there shouldn't be turmoil. Yeah, qatiluhum, kill them, waqatiluhum, and kill them, waqatiluhum, and fight them, hatta la takunu fitna, so that there's not gonna be turmoil, there's not gonna be problem, there's not gonna be challenges. وَيَكُونُ الدِّينُ لِلَّهِ, so that everybody will practice the religion of Allah, or so that the religion of Allah will be established. So, if people are there are some people who don't want to accept the religion of Allah, so that the religion will be established, fight them, kill them. And he says, فَإِنْ انْتَهَوْا, but when they stopped being the apostates, when they stop being the kafirs, fala udwana, there is no enmity between you and the people. So what it means is that you, the Muslims, there is enmity between you and those that are not Muslims. Fala udwana illa ala zalimin. When they stop to be a problem to the society or to the religion, or to start against the religion, or to criticize the religion, there's no enmity illa ala zalimin. You can only turn your enmity to the oppressors, to the transgressors. This is Quran chapter number 2, verse 192. This verse is one of the verses that are being used to establish the act of killing apostates and non-Muslims in Islamic religion. Now, you can go back and check from Quran chapter 190, Quran chapter 2 verse 190, Quran chapter 2 verse 191 to 192, which some of Muslims use to debunk the act of death penalty in the Quran. This is the first verse. Let me take you to the second verse. The second verse is in Quran chapter number 3, Surah Al Imran, the family of Imran, verse 86 all the way to 87 to 88. Quran chapter number 3, verse 86, 87, 88. That is what the verse is saying. This is what the verse is saying. كَيْفَ يَهْدِ اللَّهُ قَوْمًا, how can Allah guide people كَفَرُوا بَعْدَ إِيمَانِهِمْ, who apostated, who rejected the faith after they have been faithful, after they have been mu'minins, after they have been believers, وَشَهِدُوا أَنَّ الرَّسُولَ حَقٌّ, and they've also testified before that Prophet Muhammad is a true prophet. وَجَاءَهُمُ الْبَيِّنَاتِ, and the clear sign has also came to them from Allah. وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Those people are just like transgressors. Those people are like oppressors, and Allah does not guide the oppressors. And now listen to the verse. Ulaika, those people who left Islam after accepting it, who left Prophet after testifying that Prophet Muhammad is Prophet, those people, jaza'uhum, this is their reward. Anna alayhim la'natullah, the curse of Allah is upon them. Wal malaikati, the curse of angels of Allah is also upon them. Wan nasi ajma'in, and all the people of the world curses are upon them. Khalidina fiha, and they will go to hell and they will remain in the hell forever. This is another verse. فِيهَا لَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمْ وَلَا عَذَابٌ وَلَا هُمْ يُنظَرُونَ. This is the verse that has also been read and also buttressed the point of Quranic supporting the death penalty in Quran. When you leave the religion, you should be killed. As you can see, it is not categorically mentioned, but the Quranic interpreters, the Quranic commentators use these verses to establish. There are more of them. As we said, we are discussing this briefly. So, this is the two verses I gave you. Come with me in the next video as we discuss the hadith aspect of the apostates or the penalty of death of the apostate. Until we meet again, I say to you, bye-bye.